This is my Forsaken Survivor tier list. Hey everyone, Jax Games here. I've been playing this game for about the past 2 months, and I have played every single survivor up to at least level 50. So with getting familiar with every single survivor, I'm going to rank them on a tier list. This format is going to be a little bit different on the order I rank each survivor in. I'm going to start from the C tier and rank from the bottom of the C tier to the top, and then do the same thing with the B tier, rank from the bottom and to the top survivor in that tier. So basically it's kind of like a rankings too, of worst to best, but I'm going to be ranking them off of their playstyle and how effective they actually are. Alright, without further ado, let's start with the C tiers. Now, Taff isn't necessarily a bad survivor or the worst survivor in the game. He's just not as effective in the role he's playing. He does really good in delaying chases and potentially ending them. His abilities are used more for darker areas that blend in, though they can easily be counterable. The killer can easily cancel out his abilities by destroying their traps if they see them. They can literally just see them in front of them and then attack them, and that'll sometimes make Taff's abilities completely useless. You could throw down a trip mine if someone's being chased and hope the killer goes that direction to save the survivor, or you could place the mine around the corner, and with the radius that it has, it could maybe blow up. Those are just some things that would help him do a little bit better and makes his traps less predictable. Overall, he's good at slowing down the killer and providing just extra work for the killer to deal with. But if the killer just simply pays attention, they could cancel out his abilities and the traps wouldn't work as effectively. So that's why I put him in C tier. He's good, but can be very counterable and not as effective as other more of supports. So that was basically it for C tier. But now let's move on to the B tiers. Originally 7 and 7 was going to be higher on this list, but the more I realized that the survivors were more of effective, I guess, it landed down here. 7 and 7 mainly relies on his clone to get away from a chase. An experienced killer can notice the clone from a few things. 1, effects like fire and from Cool Kid's walk speed override. 2, constant running in a straight line or a little bit of like jagged running from the aimless. And 3, or literally just straight up when you see someone cloning. To effectively use the clone, you have to go around the corner and use it and hope that the killer doesn't find you going another way. You could use the clone to tank hits when you're low on damage, but then you've kind of just wasted the clone. Let's talk quickly about Cool GUI. Unless you know where the killer is, you kind of gotta use Cool GUI when you're far from the killer, since it takes 6 seconds to teleport. Cool GUI is really only good for LMS though, but in LMS, a killer could use a tracking ability and can literally see the animation of you doing that, and if you're lucky, they could spawn near you and just go after you. This survivor has potential. You just have to play the survivor the most cautiously, and it's better off for facing starter killers. That's why I put it in the bottom of B tier. Not really as great and effective in their role of a survivalist. Alright, time for the next one. Noob, I would say, is a better alternative than 7 and 7. However, his abilities are best usually at LMS, unlike 7 and 7's clone ability, which is good even before LMS. But on the upside, Noob is the best for LMS. He's a giant time staller and gains a lot of distance with Bloxy Cola. Though Slate Skin and Ghostburger wouldn't really help while being chased when there's, like, say, 2 minutes left on the clock. It's also hard to predict when the killer will use their tracking ability. Slate Skin would only benefit you in the last few minutes of the game, so basically Bloxicola would be what you have to rely on all around the game. But here's the best side of him. He is a beast in LMS. An experienced noob is 95% of the time winning. Good stamina management plus using their abilities right is a perfect combination to anger the killer. Using Ghostburger first to cancel the detection at the start of LMS and then timing your Bloxicola to get away from the killer takes about 20 seconds off of LMS. Then using Slate Skin at the last 6 seconds to secure the victory is basically what you have to do. The reason why Noob isn't higher is because it's not an all-rounder, meaning, like, it's not good all-round, like, from start to finish. It's, like, best at doing what it does at the end of the round. Your only best ability till LMS is your Bloxicola, and you really only get 2. That's why I put him in B tier. Really good at what he can do, just not as effective in the round, more of till the end. The only really thing he could do mid-round is complete the generators. Moving on to the final survivor at B tier. If it wasn't for his main gimmick, then he would have been way higher on this list. Chance's one-shot is the best stunning ability because it's harder to predict and can come out of nowhere and ruin a chase. One-shot can also be used from a distance and instead having to come face-to-face with killer. This could give more distance when running. If that was his main ability, he would hands down be the best sentinel in the game. There was no doubt about it. You have to make a successful coin flip to even shoot, but at 3 charges, Chance's gun is best. What's so bad is about flipping for those charges, sometimes you could get nothing but stacks of weakness, and to the point you might as well just go for the hat fix. Reroll can also do you bad. You can start with 80 and then just go to 60, and then you've wasted a flip. You have to wait 20 seconds for another reroll. Another way you can waste a coin flip session is when you have it on 3 charges and it either doesn't even work or it blows on you. The killer can kill you around 2 hits if you have bad weakness. Sometimes as a killer you can even catch a chance on bad weakness and kill them quickly. But on the flip side, all this bad talk could be really good and you might get 3 successful coin flips in a row and take no weakness and be able to shoot the killer. Or reroll can set you at a high health, like 100 to 120. So this survivor can either be the best survivor in the game or the worst survivor in the game. It's just not stable enough to trust, which isn't entirely the survivor's fault because that's the whole point. This is why I put Chance at the top of B tier because it's kind of like Guest. You have to make a succession before you can actually start playing as a sentinel and start stunning the killers. It's just Chance is very inconsistent, but that doesn't mean he's a bad sentinel. Just if it wasn't for this inconsistentness, it would be way higher. But the whole point is to be inconsistent, I guess. Kind of just playing with your luck with this survivor. Well, that's it for the B tier. Now let's go to the A tiers. It was pretty hard trying to find where to place this one, but I ended up placing it here. He's good at slowing down the killer or speeding up players and helping the players when they're most vulnerable, although he's best at doing this at high elevations because he makes himself vulnerable when doing this. It is also harder for you to shield at long distances because a survivor can get behind a wall canceling it. Then you just pretty much wasted your ability. It's hard communicating with the survivors when shielding them. The immunity that you could get can help you in a chase when you're low or you missed out on your shot, but then they could also just bait it out. Dusakar is super annoying when they know what they're doing, though. A Shed or a Guest can miss their shots, and you can think you got a free hit, but then Dusakar comes and saves the day, and so gives them immunity, and so you're gonna have to try to wait it out. So Dusakar is a great support, but very risky sometimes. I feel like Dusakar is more of an XP and money grind than a supporter, or at least how I feel about how other players play him. So that's why he falls in A minus. He's effective, but just not as effective as other supports. Now on to the next one. I like to think of two-time more as a survivalist and a sentinel mixed instead of just a sentinel. Instead of stabbing to protect the team like the sentinels, he more of does it for himself to charge up the obliviation bar so he can respawn if he dies. These are one of the sneakiest survivors in the game. Out of nowhere, a two-time can come up and backstab you if you're not careful enough. The only good way to counter them is to constantly look around, but it's going to be hard in a chase. Trick stabs are also hard to pull off, but they can be helpful in a chase. Even if you land a front stab, it can be so annoying to the killer. Crouch can give extra mobility. Say if there's someone being chased and you're right behind, you can quickly crouch and then stab, and you can sometimes reach. An easier way to stun the killer is when they're using their abilities, or the killer has run out of the stamina. So these all sound like two times should be higher on the list, right? Well, number one, it's harder to play than the other sentinels because if you're going for a backstab, it's harder to predict their movements, and you have to go for a backstab, even if you want to stun the killer. And two, if their obliviation bar is up and you know it, can kill them and then they respawn for 40 damage, and then you can save them for LMS. I just recently found this out. Apparently, if their obliviation bar is up and you don't kill them and then wait till LMS, instead of getting 40 health, they get 110 health. So if you were to do that, then it'd be harder for you to kill them. Overall, they're great survivors, very sneaky, and can be very annoying. If you're really experienced or the two time is less experienced, then they could be somewhat counterable. And it's just a little bit inconsistent because you have to go to the backstab if you're gonna stun the killer and be most effective. Instead of just stabbing them from the front or either side, you have to try to go for the back, and it could be really hard to do that. That's why I put them in A tier. Anyways, on to the next one. People are probably going to get mad at me for putting guest over two time, but really I think both of them are about the same skill level. I just put guest over two time because I feel like he just does a little bit better and it's more of better protecting the team and more effective as what he does. Now just listen to me for this. Yes, it's stupid that Guest has to rely on a block in order to actually make a punch, and instead of actually being trying to be a sentinel, it has this ability that's holding back what he could actually do. But you could utilize this block. So people have found like tech that could be used. Like you could use item baiting. You can pretend you're vulnerable, or like using a Bloxy-Cola or a medkit, and then as soon as the killer reaches you and is about to slash you, mainly using its M1, you could block it, and then that'll give you a charge for a punch to make the parry too even. There's generator baiting, AFK, pretending to be AFK. There's other stuff that you can use. What surprises me is that I see few little people use this tech. At least in my experience, a lot of killers fall for this tech and has made me a better killer because I can look out for this kind of stuff. I like to use item baiting, in which you pretend to use an item and then block right before the killer comes toward you. But we're not here to talk about what I like about Guest. It's just they're the only sentinel that has to rely on a block in order to land the punch even. Punches are also counterable, so if they do block, you can move out of the way if they try to parry. Charge is the best at knocking killers off the edge or a slope, and it could also be used to kill cool kids' minions. An experienced guest can also juke you a ton and make you not even aware of a block that's coming up and just keep attacking you. Guess is a great survivor, but blocks can be inconsistent. Experienced killers can easily predict you. It's pretty hard for new guests to perfectly, so definitely an experienced survivor is better than a non-experienced guest. That's why I put guest in A tier. I feel like the main reason people think that he is the worst sentinel is because he has to rely on a block in which is, yes, super hard to land out of the nowhere or just like running, but if you do be smart about it or bait the killer or find loopholes around it, then it could be much easier. I agree with people thinking that block could be hard to land, but it doesn't exactly have to be in a chase. Alright, next one. Personally, I think Shadletsky is the best sentinel in the game. From beginner to an experienced player, Shadletsky is really good at what he can do. Shadletsky is really versatile, in which you can find ways to stun the killer, and it's not too hard. Shadletsky are also pretty sneaky from surprise attacks behind walls and can quickly face back and attack while you're being chased. Basically, use your ability right before the killer walks into you, and you'll probably stun the killer just like that. That's how simple Shadletsky can be. You also have instant healing, and so you don't have to worry about running around to find a medkit or relying on an Elliot to heal you. You just have to do this from from the killer because regeneration can stop if the killer hits you. Against an experienced killer, though, they could weigh out the slash and attack. Shadletsky is good when killers are in vulnerable states or being sneaky with Shadletsky. Again, Shadletsky can be countered if you just move back or move to the side if you know they could be swinging, or if you're Jason, you can use Raging Pace. That's why I put Shadletsky at A plus tier. He doesn't need to rely on anything and just is a straightforward sentinel. Shadletsky is super versatile and has instant healing, so this could be a great survivor for literally anyone. Now, for the final survivor in A tier, we have Builderman can do more than he looks like that he can do. He can protect the team while also serving the team. Destroying a sentry or not can either way be a chase ender. If you destroy it, then you won't have to worry about it, but the players can gain distance on you and can literally just run away and you can end the chase there. Or the players will keep looping around it if you don't destroy it, and it'll give you slowness, making it a lot harder to kill the players. Pretty much you're better off destroying the sentry. Dispensers are a bigger help than you think, too. You could literally get someone down to 12 HP and then chase someone else, and before you know it, there's a dispenser somewhere where the injured survivor was, and they just healed up to like 60%, and now you gotta go redo all of that hard work that you did. Builderman is not only a great support, but a great survivor because he could literally support the team without sacrificing himself. The only one thing, though, is mainly in LMS, he can't really do anything to protect himself. He doesn't really have any resources to protect himself. He only has to rely on a sentry, but that could be broken and could be really hard to try to place when in a chase in LMS. That's why I put Builderman at the top of A tier. Really solid survivor and support, but doesn't really have the resources to protect himself, really, only mainly relying on Sentry. But yes, really good. And for our last survivor in S tier, you all know him. It is. Okay, I'm gonna pause here for a second. I heard about Elliot's nerfs, but I was reading over the update logs, and apparently the devs actually fixed them. So people who still think that Elliot has nerfed, not really anymore. I'll show you the update log. I got this off of the FORSAKEN Wiki, but I even tried these myself, and they're true. So if you want to try them for yourself, go ahead. But anyways, I'm going to get back into this explanation. Oh, how original. Elliot on top. Just listen to me. How many times have you struggled or potentially lost due to spending time on chasing someone and then Elliot healing them, and then you have to spend another chunk of your time chasing them again? Elliots are one of the most annoying survivors to go against. That's why they're targeted and chased after first. If you don't get rid of these guys, then they will literally ruin your game, or they can stall time. Elliot is easy to play and super effective. Basically, they're like a field medic. Rush Hour can help you in a lot of chases too. It's also like a cycle between Elliot's healing Sentinels and then Sentinels protecting the Elliots when the killer goes for them to try to get rid of them. It's crucial to get rid of them before you have to live a nightmare. The only problem with Elliots are when survivors have to try to pick up the pizza if you missed. It's kind of hard communicating with them, so you have to hope that they just come back your way before they get killed. But if they don't even pick it up, then you kind of just wasted your ability. But this is why Elliot is one of the best survivors in the game. Experienced Elliots can even have a bigger chance than you would think of winning LMS. If they use their Rush Hour ability correctly, then they could literally win, basically turning themselves into a survivalist. That's why I give Elliot S tier. These are super annoying survivors. Experienced ones can be awfully hard to kill and get rid of, preventing to support the team. It's simple playset can be super effective. So that was the end of the tier list. Let me know if you agree or disagree, but this was it. Let me know if you want me to do a killer tier list. Though I'm gonna wait till Noli comes out before I do the killer tier list. But other than that, should Let's Keep video coming soon and more Forsaken content coming soon. Bye bye! Oh, a new outro coming soon. Anyway.